Hey, sports fans, PBZ Sports Chaos. All right, man. Week 13 is over the NFL. College football playoffs were announced last weekend. Let's just jump right into that one because that's a touchy subject. Michigan, clear cut, should have been there. Washington, clear cut. They beat Oregon. They're both undefeated. Michigan and Washington undefeated. Texas slides in. This is a surprise a little bit. Texas slides in all the way to 3, which made 4 very interesting. Would there be an SEC champion team in the mix? Because Alabama beat Georgia last weekend to knock them from the undefeated ranks. So the question, man, was, does Bama slide in, or is the right thing done and have Florida State in there? The CFP, with 13 people who don't know much about college football, decided to elect Bama, and most of the public disagrees with that. You got to take an undefeated team. 13-0 Florida State should have been there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a legitimate argument though for that. I mean, I granted a Power 5 conference champion that goes undefeated. How can you leave a team like that out?
By the way, Glory Boy, you're the one that bragged about. I picked Bama to be there, but you're in the minority on that. I talked to about 20 people, all who played college football. I know you didn't. They're like, ethically, it's the wrong thing you can do. Well, it's the wrong thing you can do.
And I didn't pick Bama from the beginning of the year, but I did pick them at when all the games were over. I said Bama's going to get in over Florida State. I did have Texas in there, and I did have Michigan. I had 2 of the 4 teams predicted from the beginning of the year. So let me say that first. As far as when the final games ended, I said I have a feeling Bama's going to get in. Here's why, though. You have a Power 5 conference, right? But the SEC is kind of like a Power 1. Like, they are the best conference in the entire nation.
Except
you have a team with 1 loss that won the conference championship and beat Georgia to do it. I mean, that's also a hard team to leave out. Let's face it. And
it is. But here's the fact.
Wait. By the way, if you put Bama on the field tomorrow against Florida State, Bama would absolutely destroy them. So,
not so fast. Bama struggled against good defenses all season. Jalen Monroe, at the beginning of the season, looked horrible against good defenses. Florida State is not a good defense. They're an elite defense. The SEC was 4-6 versus the ACC. So you call it a conference of number 1. They weren't even the best conference head-to-head. So
I don't care. I don't care about the 10 other games. I'm talking about. I don't care about the 4-6 record against 4 random teams and 6 random. I'm talking about Bama and Florida State. I think Bama wins that game. They just beat the number 1 team in the country. So,
by the way, I don't agree that Georgia was supposed to be the number 1 team in the country. They didn't show that much this year.
Michigan should have been.
Georgia played very close games all season. They were not overly impressive like they were last year. They were simply getting it on the resume from last year. It was based on legacy resume last 2 years. I don't think Georgia was the top 4, actually, in my opinion, going into the last weekend of the season. Yeah. So
and now they're not. But you know what? Future show, we're going to pick these 4 teams and we'll who we think is going to win it all, right?
That's right. Yeah. Hey, all right. NFL last week, Philadelphia came down to earth a little bit. Wow, 6 straight touchdowns in a row by San Francisco. That's a wake-up call for the Philadelphia Eagles. Would you agree? Fly, Eagles, fly. You were not flying last week.
No, they got their wings clipped.
Wings clipped. Everything got clipped. I think they got their what's clipped and.
Yeah, you know what? I've been saying all year long, and I know I picked against the Eagles many times, and I did last week too. It's because they haven't shown me that they can put teams away, and they haven't played well against bad teams. It all started week 1. Week 1 against the Patriots are 2-10, and the Eagles are a toe away inbounds from the Patriots' final drive from losing that game to the Patriots. Come on. They're not as good as people think, and they're kind of.
Well, you remember we did our scheduling show, and I said one big upset could be week 1. I'm not going to pick them, but the Patriots could catch the Eagles with a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, and Bill has had a whole summer to prepare for that one game, and it played out that way. Did it not? Right?
It absolutely did. And the last few weeks, I have given the Eagles. I said, okay, they've gone on this little streak, and they beat some good teams. sooner or later they're going to lose a game. So they had a big letdown. Can they bounce back against the Cowboys? We're going to talk about that. That's the big question. If they lose again to the Cowboys and get smoked by the Cowboys, now we're talking about a whole different NFC.
By the way, more surprising. Packers beating Kansas City in Sunday Night Football, right? The late game Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was a Sunday night game, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the Jags losing to the Bengals without Joe Burrow, Jake Browning in his first NFL start ever. What was more surprising?
I think the Packers win was more surprising to me, despite the fact that Jordan Love right now is playing out of his mind. Let's face it. I mean, he on Thanksgiving, he manhandled Detroit in their defense. I mean, he's looking really, really good right now. But I just didn't think. I mean, they did this special on I think it was Good Morning Football about quarterbacks' historic first games at Lambeau Field. And they were all unbelievable performances, including Tom Brady's first performance there. Everybody just goes into Lambeau and lights it up on their first game ever played. And that was Mahomes' first game in Lambeau. I thought he was going to go there and light the place up. Man, that was a disappointment. So I was surprised.
By the way, Jordan Love has the same amount of, I heard this the other day, someone told me this. Jordan Love has the same amount of touchdowns, same amount of picks, and the same record as Aaron Rodgers had in his first 10 games starting for the Packers.
Yeah, and I think it was the same amount of yards, too.
Yes, that's what it was, 2,500 yards, yeah.
The exact yard, which was amazing. So here's a guy that, everyone was like, he's been on the bench for 3 years, but he was under the tutelage of Aaron Rodgers, and now it's showing. I think this guy's going to be the next heir apparent in Green Bay. Don't you agree?
Well, that's why they made the deal 3 years ago, right? To move up in the draft, right? Pissing Aaron Rodgers off, and there you go. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, is he really going to play this season? Do you think he's actually going to play, even if they're out of it?
No. There's no sense in play. If they were in it, if they were 6-16 right now, and they're with the pack with Cincinnati and Buffalo and Houston and all those other teams, and they had a shot.
Technically, they're still in it right now. They're technically still in it. They're not out. They haven't been disqualified yet.
Mathematically, they're not out, but they will be out after this week, I think.
I say he's going to play because you know how much I think of him as an egotistical son of a bitch. He's going to play just to say, I came back from an Achilles tear faster than anybody ever in mankind history, and he's going to take that to his grave. That's how he is. This is, by the way, this is another fun fact. Do you know he does not talk to any of his family? Totally shut off his whole entire family.
Oh God!
So this is how this guy is, So I think he's gonna.
I think they're more into
field. He'll play.
I think the management of that team is more into next season. Like, let's just write this year off. Let's focus on next year. Let's not jeopardize.
To a degree, but Woody Johnson needs to sell tickets, and if people are not going to go to the last 2 home games, but if Aaron's going to play, then I don't know.
Speaking of which, they're down here the week after next. The Jets are playing down here in Miami, and I'm going to that game, so we'll see.
By the way, there's a place where there's a chance because warm weather, the injury will feel good in the heat, some good sweat going. That's the place to play if I'm going to play if I'm him. By the way, we thought it was never going to happen again, but Zach Wilson's going to play this week. He's going to start again. I mean,
the guy that can't walk backwards.
I'll tell you what, he must be the best 7-on-7 player in the world during practice, right? But he must just hit every throw in 7-on-7s and like, well, we got to put him in the lineup. He's got so much talent. Jeez. And then he gets in there with a real gang with people coming after him, and he just goes into like panic mode, right? So
absolutely.
All right, before we make some picks, we're going to talk about the big elephant in the room, and that's the New England Patriots who's playing tonight against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And quite frankly, I don't see them winning this game. I don't know about you. We're not going to pick it, so we can talk about it right now because it's just too embarrassing to pick.
Another thing, and I play in this pick league where you pick 12 games every week, so you get to leave on a full schedule. You leave 4 games out, but usually there's buys. You can leave like 2 or 3 games out. I left this game out this week. I did not pick the Steelers. I didn't pick the Patriots either, but it was one of the games I didn't pick. I just had this weird feeling that, it's Mitch Trubisky starting. The offense is lethargic to begin with. This is one coaching change that hasn't made a difference. When Matt Canada left, nothing got better. I see the Patriots holding this team to 0 or 3 or 6 points tonight. Maybe it's going to be like a 5-2 game or something like that, or It's not
So
going to
by
be
the
a
way,
big,
so you're saying we could see another 6-0 game this week?
it could be 6-0. It could be something like that. I mean, the Patriots aren't going to
Similar to
score.
last week, because Pittsburgh's got a good defense. The chances are the Pats are not going to score.
Pats aren't scoring in the 20 in the 20. The Pats are scoring low teens at best. But I think
What's the official? Who's the official starter for the Pats? I haven't heard yet.
it's Zappy. Zappy
It
stuff.
is Zappy again. Well, all right. So it will be 6-0 again. All right. By the way, Justin Herbert and the Chargers. 6 points against the New England Patriots. You're an elite quarterback. You have elite skilled players. I mean, Pats do have a good defense, but Justin Herbert, you're supposed to be the next coming of, Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. You're right. Yeah, they shut Eckler down too, and as part of that, I think the Patriots actually have the best scoring defense in the NFL over the last 5 weeks.
Yes.
And 0-5 in those games. So
and by the way, they're still going to figure in with the worst point differential since I think at 1990 for the team record. When that year they were 1-15.
It's bad. It's bad. But their defense is not bad.
Yes.
So
agreed. Totally agree.
And Pittsburgh's they're inept. Pittsburgh's offense is inept at this point in time, I feel. So this could be anyone's game tonight.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. All right. Well, let's make some picks then.
All right.
Let's get into it. Let's start with a game that has a little more on the line than we would have thought back in week 5 when they still had Joe Burrow. Cincinnati, the Bengals showed life last week. We just talked about beating the Jaguars. So they still technically are in this thing. But the other team that's a real surprise is the Indianapolis Colts are going for first place or in first place, I think, technically right now in that division, right?
Yeah.
So,
Indianapolis is surprising people for sure. I'm going Indy in this game. I think Cincy had a big showing on Monday Night Football. They beat the Jaguars, the mighty Jaguars, who were, if they won, were the number 1 seed in the AFC. And then they have a little bit of letdown. So here comes Indy, who's been playing pretty well as of late. I know Jonathan Taylor's out, but Zach Moss is no scrub as their lead back. So I'm going to go Indy in this one. By the way, G Money has Cincinnati, and that's the only game G Money and I are different on this week. The rest of
I'm going to say I don't think they're going to get a letdown. I think a rookie quarterback is not going to allow a letdown because he's still trying to prove himself. People saying it was a fluke he won last week, and I think he's got a lot on his shoulder, chip on his shoulder to prove everybody wrong. And he's going to come out and do it again. And I think the team's a little bit fired up. So I get Cincinnati in this game. By the way, talent wins games, and the rest of that team is very talented offensively, as we know. And the defense, we were talking about this a few weeks ago before he got hurt, Burrow, but Cincinnati's defense is actually showing real improvement this year. So I think at the end of the day, and with Taylor out, I get Cincinnati. I think they find a way to win this game. So don't forget, Cincinnati, the Colts are playing a backup quarterback as well.
Yeah. All right. I'm different than you two on that one.
All right. Broncos against Chargers. By the way, Staley, this is his Brendan Staley could actually be fired if he loses this game.
He could. And for that reason, I'm taking the Chargers. I think at home, they turn this thing around. Denver, they've been playing well. Their glass slipper fell off last week.
Yep.
On the road. I got the Chargers in this one.
Yeah, I'm as well. What's he got? He's got Broncos.
He might get the Chargers as well.
Oh, he does. Okay. All right. Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Here we go. Another NFC South playoff game. This is the in-season tournament. The NFL thought the NBA has an in-season tournament. We got one down in the NFC South. Here we go.
Sure. I mean, last year the winner of this division was 7-9, and this year it could happen again.
It's going to happen.
If Atlanta loses this game, the division winner will be 6-7, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know you made fun of me at the beginning of the year when I picked Atlanta to win this division, and right now they are winning the division. There's only 5 weeks left in the season, but I think at home Atlanta takes care of business. They have to, again, go back to the skill players. You got guys like Bijan Robinson, who's now starting to get some touches and make a difference. You got Drake London who can make a difference. Yep. I just like Atlanta in this one. Tampa's not been really showing me much. Their defense is really, really bad, especially their pass defense. So I think you might see some passing yards out of Ritter this week.
For a change, I'm going to go Atlanta as well. I got you on that one as well.
All right.
G Money's got Atlanta.
He does.
All right. The Jags, can they come back from that devastating loss last Monday night? They play the Browns, who are a pretty good defense. And
Yeah.
what the latest on Trevor, I haven't heard as of today, but is he? I know he's still questionable, but are they saying he's going to play?
I mean, I saw film of him today on the practice field, and he was throwing the ball. He was stepping into his throws. I mean, he just looked like he had a brace on, obviously. Some weird kind of brace that went from his like thigh all the way down to his foot. But he looked like he was going to be able to play. And believe it or not, that's what sways my decision in this game. If Trevor Lawrence plays, I think Jacksonville wins. If he doesn't play, I think Cleveland wins. I think Cleveland figures out a way to get it at CJ Beathard, and they'll disrupt that offense despite their skill players. I know Kirk is also out in this one, so you got Zay Jones, your number 2 guy now behind Ridley. Etienne also still dealing with his rib issues, so we're not sure if he's going to play or not. He's a game time decision as of now, which would be Dearness Johnson would fill in his absence if that was the case. I think there's too many missing pieces here on the Jacksonville side that Cleveland can exploit defensively.
I totally agree, and it's in Cleveland.
With weather. Cleveland. I don't expect Cleveland to put up a lot of points, but enough to beat the Jaguars. If Lawrence plays, though, I know we can't go back on our picks, but if Lawrence does play, I'll lose that pick.
I believe he's playing. I'm taking the Jags, much like Sunshine. And remember the Titans who took a devastating injury and still played the next game. I'm going with Sunshine in real life. So Jags with Trevor on the field, definitely playing.
Okay. And if I knew he was playing for sure, I'd take the Jags too. But right now, it's questionable enough that they might not risk him for this week, which leads me to Cleveland. Let him be ready for the rest of the season.
But by the way, the Jags can't afford to if he can play, they can't afford not to play him at this point in time because now they've let the rest of the conference close in on him. So
who would have thought, right? We could be looking. You and I we made fun of the AFC South at the beginning of the year. They could have 3 playoff teams. The Colts, the Texans, the Jaguars all could get in this thing, right?
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. All right, we got Buffalo KC in Kansas City. Weather, I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but it doesn't really matter because it's the Bills. They play in any kind of weather, right? So, but it's Kansas City, a tough home crowd, probably tougher than even at Buffalo, and that's a pretty tough home crowd. What do you think?
And I got my friends from Kansas City coming in this weekend. So picking up tomorrow at the airport. They're going to be here for the weekend. We're going to the Monday night game, by the way. Miami is playing Tennessee on Monday night. We're not picking that one. And Sunday, of course, we're going to be watching football all day, including this Chiefs game, which they'll be all riled up for. And they don't watch the show. I might have them watch this episode only for the fact that I'm not picking Kansas City.
You're going to make them watch it then. Okay.
I'm going to pick Buffalo. I think Buffalo has beaten Kansas City in big games in the regular season the last few years, if I'm not mistaken. But Buffalo's a 6-6 team that is just waiting to bust out. They kind of almost remind me. I'm not going to say they're at the same level, but of the Niners. The Niners had that 3-game losing streak. Everybody started going down on them. Clearly, their roster was awesome, and now it's showing they're fully healthy. They're kicking ass. I think Buffalo is kind of in that same boat. They're a 6-6 team that's waiting to be an 11-6 team and run the table and just run through the playoffs and get to the AFC Championship game. That's how I view Buffalo. This is the step to doing that, is beating Kansas City in Kansas City. I think it happens. And G-Money has Buffalo too.
So you guys both see Kansas City losing 2 in a row now.
But that's the weird part about it. I'm just not confident enough in Kansas. If Kansas City has to play a lot of offense and throw the ball, I'm just not confident in their receivers at this point in time. I just don't see someone like making a difference that you can rely on, other than Kelsey, of course.
If this was in Buffalo, I would agree with you guys. It's in Kansas City, and for that reason alone, I'm going Kansas City.
All right, man.
All right, here we go. The big one of the weekend. The Philadelphia Eagles coming off a big loss last week. A big loss, as we talked about earlier. 6 straight touchdowns in a row. Mike McPhillips, my boss. Big Phillies fan, a big Eagles fan. Playing the Cowboys. Cowboys, 14 straight home wins. The best point differential in the NFC. They got a plus 168. I think it's the best by like 6 points. And they've won the last 5 straight games at home against Philadelphia. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, and I mean, all those things just, they justify my decision. If I didn't know any of that stuff you just said, I was picking Dallas. just because, first of all, teams of this caliber tend to split in a regular season, and Dallas already lost at Philly. So this is a perfect opportunity for Dallas to split the season series, number one. Number two, Dallas is probably the hottest team, them in San Francisco right now in the entire NFL. And Philly just exposed themselves last week and showed that they got demolished by a healthy Niners team. So I would have picked Dallas without all that information. And then you layer in all that statistical stuff that you just did. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. This is Dallas's game to win. It also puts them as the number one, no, not number one seed. It puts them at the top of the conference for sure. And then depending on what San Francisco does, they could be number one overall on top of that. So, and, you know, I said at the beginning of the year, and I've been saying it all year long, and you always wanted to throw the Eagles in this conversation.
Well, Philly's got only 2 losses, so it's a 3-way tie.
I know. Well, based on tiebreaker, though. But Dallas and San Francisco were the class of the NFC. I said that in week 1. I said that on our pregame show. I've said that midseason. I've said it all year long. Dallas and San Francisco were the class of the NFC. You always tried to sneak Philadelphia into the conversation.
I do, but don't forget who put Dallas in the Super Bowl.
But you always put them in just because of their record. You put them in there. I'm going off.
I like the team. I like the team. I like Jalen Hurts.
I watch him every week. I'm going off the eye test. They're not as good as people think. Dallas wins this game. Sorry. Not sorry.
Do you think I'm not going to pick Dallas? I hate Philadelphia. I love Jalen Hurts, though. You know what? I would take Jalen Hurts over Dak in a minute.
All right. Well, that's because Hurts played for Oklahoma, so you love him.
That's right. And that's how he learned to play. But you take to play quarterback.
But you take CeeDee Lamb over AJ Brown any day too.
No, you know what? AJ Brown's my man. He's a freak. He's a freak of nature.
Come on.
Yeah.
Over CeeDee.
I will say this. Here's one thing about CeeDee Lamb. The Dallas Cowboys are finally starting to learn how to use him. If you went back and watched Oklahoma game film, the one thing Oklahoma did with him, I'm gonna make a really bold statement. He's the closest I've ever seen to Jerry Rice for this one reason. Jerry Rice was not the fastest straight line guy in a 40. Put a ball in his hand. I've never seen a guy run faster with a ball in his hand than without it. CeeDee Lamb is the same way. He seems to run much faster with the ball in his hand, and that's why at Oklahoma they ran him on jet sweeps all the time. They ran him on bubble screens all the time, and he picked up a lot of yards after the catch yak. Finally, they're starting to do that this year with him for the first time ever, and you're seeing the productivity.
Yeah. It sounds a lot like Debo too.
Yeah. A bigger version, other than Debo's, stock, jack. But all right, so I got Dallas, you got Dallas. What's G Money got?
G Money's got Dallas too.
Okay, all right. Wow, all right. 3rd and long. What are you thinking there? Who's gonna have the biggest win?
By the way, 3rd and long last week, you nailed it. You had Miami over Washington. Miami won by 30 points. You killed it on that one. I was way off on mine. This week, I have Miami again over Tennessee. I think Miami destroys them.
I'm with you on that one too. Yeah, prime time, right? Monday Night Football for sure. By the way, there's 2 Monday Night Football games this week.
There is, and then Christmas Day, there's 3 Monday Night Football games. Yeah, but I'll be at that game, by the way.
Nice.
Looking forward to Tua kicking some ass. All right, 4th and inches. Last week there were 2 games that went to overtime: the Colts and the Titans, and the Bengals and Jaguars. Neither of us had that as our 4th and inches. But this week I got a little surprise for you in this one. Rams Ravens.
Ooh. I almost wanted. I was going to put this one under the pick 6, but I held back. But that's maybe. But it's in Baltimore.
It is.
Yeah, so I don't see that happen. Baltimore wins by 10. All right, mine is very easy. We already talked about it at the beginning of the show. It's the Pats New England game. 5-2. Come on.
You mean the Pats Steelers?
I mean, yeah, Pats Buffalo game. Pats Buffalo. Geez, Pats Pittsburgh. Yeah,
all right. Pats, which is going on. It's kicking off. Actually, the kickoff already started. I don't know if we can count that. Z. No, just kidding.
Don't worry about it. There's going to be no score till the 4th quarter, anyways. If any. Hey, real quick. Big weekend here. I love the Army Navy game. I'm very bummed. I want to go, but early in the year you couldn't buy tickets. Now you can, but I already have plans. So I'm not going to scrap the plans for this, but Army's 3-point. Army's a 3-point favorite, I believe. Was that correct, or Navy?
I'm not sure who's the favorite, but I'm going to take Army either way.
I'm taking Navy. I got Navy. I think Navy's 3-point favorite. I'm taking Navy to cover. I got them to win the game by 4. And the big one we pick every year, North Dakota State against South Dakota in the FCCS quarterfinal. 6.5-point favorites, North Dakota State. They lost earlier this year to South Dakota. So what does that mean?
North Dakota State.
That's right. Even at a 6.5-point spread. You like that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. Okay. All right. I'm with you on that one. All right, brother. Good one. Talk to you soon.
All right, have a good weekend.